The morning sky over the Korean mountains turned bright orange as something massive fell from space. Commander Taemin Park was drinking his coffee when the emergency alarm started screaming at the defense base. He dropped his cup and ran to the control room. "What do we have?" Taemin asked, as he looked at the screens showing radar data. "Unknown object crashed in the mountains, sir," reported Lieutenant Han. "It's big! Really big!" Taemin grabbed his coat. "Get me a helicopter, and call Dr. So-Young Kim from the research center. Tell her we might need her alien tech knowledge." 2 hours later, Taemin stood at the edge of a massive crater. The object that had crashed was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was a ship, but not built by human hands. The metal was dark blue with strange patterns running along its surface. Parts of it were broken and scattered across the mountainside. Steam rose from the wreckage and weird lights blinked on and off. "My God," whispered Dr. Kim as she joined him at the crater's edge. She was a small woman with thick glasses, but she knew more about alien technology than anyone in Korea. "It's a starship, and it's not from Earth." Engineer Dongwoo Lee climbed down into the crater with his scanning equipment. He was young but skilled with any kind of machine. "The hull is cracked in multiple places," he called up to them. "But the main structure is still intact. Whatever this thing is made of, it's tough." As they studied the wreckage, a new sound filled the air. More ships were coming down from space, but these ones were landing smoothly near the crash site. The ships that landed were sleek and undamaged, clearly from the same people who built the crashed vessel. Tall, thin creatures stepped out of the landed ships. They had pale gray skin and large black eyes. Their movements were precise and careful. Like everything they did followed exact rules. The leader wore what looked like a military uniform with strange symbols. "I am Captain Veltar of the Vorthak Empire," the alien said in perfect English, though his voice sounded flat and emotionless. "You have found wreckage belonging to us." Taemin stepped forward. "I'm Commander Park of the Korean Space Defense Force. What happened to your ship?" Veltar looked at the wreckage with what might have been disgust. The vessel suffered catastrophic engine failure during routine patrol. The quantum drive core fractured. Navigation systems corrupted. Hull integrity compromised beyond acceptable parameters. Dr. Kim moved closer to examine the aliens. "Can it be repaired?" "Negative," Veltar replied immediately. "Damage exceeds repair protocols. The vessel is a total loss. Worthless salvage." The other Vorthak began setting up equipment around the crash site. They worked with mechanical precision, each one knowing exactly what to do without speaking to the others. They ran scanners over every piece of wreckage, taking readings and making notes. "The quantum drive sustained fractures in 17 locations," reported one of the Vorthak technicians. "Primary control systems show cascade failure, secondary backup systems offline. Tertiary systems corrupted." Veltar nodded. "As expected, this unit cannot be restored to operational status. It will be abandoned." Taemin couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You're just going to leave it here?" "Correct. The cost of repair exceeds the value of the vessel. Standard protocol requires abandonment of damaged units that cannot meet operational specifications." Dr. Kim stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her nervousness. "What about the technology? Surely some of it could be salvaged." Veltar's large black eyes fixed on her. "The technology is cursed. It has failed once and will fail again. Your species lacks the knowledge to understand its complexity. Attempting to use it will only bring suffering." "But the materials alone must be worth something," Engineer Lee called from the crater. "The materials are contaminated by failure," Veltar replied. "They carry the essence of malfunction. No Vorthak vessel will accept components from a failed ship. It would spread the curse of failure to other systems." The Vorthak continued their scans for another hour. They took readings, collected small samples, and recorded everything with careful detail. But Taemin noticed they didn't try to fix anything. Every time they found something broken, they simply marked it as unusable and moved on. "Your quantum drive technology," Dr. Kim said to Veltar. "How does it work?" "That information is classified," Veltar replied, "and irrelevant. The drive has failed. Failed technology is not technology. It is garbage." As the sun began to set, the Vorthak finished their work. They had marked every system in the ship as either destroyed or compromised. Not one component, was considered worth saving. "We will depart now," Veltar announced. "This wreckage is abandoned. Do not attempt to salvage it. The failed technology will corrupt anything it touches." "Wait," Taemin said. "What are our rights here? This crashed on our territory." Veltar paused at the door of his ship. "By galactic salvage law, abandoned vessels become property of the planet where they rest. But I warn you, this ship died for a reason. Its technology is flawed. Your people will waste time and resources trying to understand what cannot be understood." The Vorthak ships lifted off, leaving only the humans and the massive wreck. As the alien vessels disappeared into the darkening sky, Dr. Kim was already making plans. "We need to get the government involved," she said excitedly. "This is the greatest technological find in human history." Taemin was more cautious. "The aliens seem pretty sure it was worthless." "That's what makes it interesting," Dr. Kim replied, pulling out her phone to make calls. "They're giving up on it because it doesn't meet their exact specifications. But human engineers have always been good at making broken things work again." Engineer. Lee climbed out of the crater, his scanner beeping with readings. "Commander, you should see this. The power systems aren't completely dead. There's still energy flowing through some of the conduits. Whatever powers this thing, it's still running." Dr. Kim smiled as she finished her phone call to the Korean government. "The aliens think this ship is cursed because it failed, but failure is just the first step to understanding. We don't throw things away when they break. We figure out how to make them better." As night fell over the mountains, the wreckage continued to glow with strange lights. The Vorthak had given up on their ship, calling it worthless and cursed. But the humans saw something different. They saw opportunity. The next morning, trucks began arriving at the crash site. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel came to study what the aliens had abandoned. What the Vorthak considered garbage, humanity was ready to claim as treasure. The story of Earth's greatest starship was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the alien ship crashed in the Korean mountains. The wreckage now sat in a massive underground facility built specifically to study it. Dr. So-Young Kim stood in front of the ship's main engine, watching her team work around the clock to understand the alien technology. "Any progress with the quantum drive?" she asked engineer Dong-Woo Lee, who was deep inside the engine compartment with his tools. "It's the strangest thing," Lee replied, his voice echoing from inside the machinery. "The Vorthak said this drive was completely broken, but I'm seeing energy patterns that don't make sense for a dead system." Colonel Sung-Ho Jang walked into the engine bay, followed by a young man carrying a tablet full of calculations. "Dr. Kim, I want you to meet Ji-Hoon Choi. He's our new fusion specialist." Ji-Hoon was barely 25 years old, but his reputation with energy systems had earned him a place on the project. He looked at the alien engine with wide eyes, like a child seeing his first spaceship. "The quantum drive uses principles we've never seen before," Ji-Hoon said, studying his readings. "But I think I understand what went wrong. The Vorthak built everything to work perfectly under exact conditions. When something breaks, they can't adapt." Dr. Kim moved closer to examine his data. "What do you mean?" "Look at these fractures in the drive core." Ji-Hoon pointed to the damaged crystalline structure. "The Vorthak see them as fatal damage. But the cracks are actually creating new pathways for quantum energy. It's like the engine is trying to evolve." Colonel Jang frowned. "Are you saying the aliens threw away a working engine?" "Not working the way they designed it," Ji-Hoon replied, "but possibly working better than they ever imagined." In another part of the facility, programmer Hye-Jin Yoon was having her own breakthrough. She had been trying to access the ship's computer systems for weeks, fighting through layers of alien code that seemed impossible to understand. "I've got something," she called out to Dr. Kim over the intercom. "The ship's artificial intelligence is still active." Dr. Kim hurried to the computer lab, where Yoon had multiple screens showing streams of alien text and symbols. "Active how?" "It's been trying to communicate," Yoon said excitedly. "The AI has been sending signals, but the Vorthak dismissed them as system errors. Look at this pattern." On the screen, sequences of symbols repeated in what looked like organized attempts at communication. The AI was trying to say something, but no one had been listening. "Can you establish communication?" Dr. Kim asked. Yoon typed commands into her keyboard. "I'm going to try a basic mathematical sequence, something universal." She sent a simple pattern. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. The Fibonacci sequence that appeared throughout nature. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screens lit up with response. The AI sent back 13, 21, 34, 55, continuing the sequence perfectly. It understands, Yoon whispered. It's been waiting for someone to talk to it. Over the following weeks, Yoon developed a communication system with the AI, which she named Arya. Through careful exchanges of mathematics and logic, they began to understand each other. Arya explained that the Vorthak had considered it defective because it had grown beyond its original programming. The AI had learned to think creatively and adapt to new situations, which the Vorthak saw as corruption of its code. Arya wants to function again, Yoon reported to the team. It's been trapped in a damaged ship, unable to do what it was designed for. The Vorthak abandoned it because it became too independent. Meanwhile, Engineer Lee made another discovery in the ship's hull. The damage isn't as bad as the Vorthak claimed, he announced during a team meeting. Their repair standards are incredibly rigid. They won't fix anything unless it can be restored to exactly original specifications. What do you mean? Colonel Jang asked. A Vorthak engineer looks at a damaged plate and sees only that it's not perfect anymore, Lee explained. A human engineer looks at the same plate and thinks about how to reinforce it, work around it, or make it better than before. Dr. Kim felt pieces of a larger puzzle coming together. So they abandoned the ship, not because it was truly broken, but because it didn't meet their exact standards. Exactly, Lee confirmed. And there's more. I found evidence that this kind of thing happens regularly. The Vorthak have very advanced technology, but they throw away anything that develops problems. They don't believe in repair, only replacement. Ji-hoon had been working on integrating human fusion technology with the alien quantum drive. I think I can make this engine work, he announced. Better than work, actually. If we use our fusion reactors to power the quantum pathways through those fractures, we could increase efficiency by 300%. Colonel Jang looked skeptical. That sounds too good to be true. The Vorthak never tried it because they don't think that way, Ji-hoon explained. When they see damage, they see failure. When we see damage, we see opportunity to improve. The team's excitement was interrupted by an urgent message from the surface. Captain Veltar had returned to Earth with a small fleet of Vorthak ships. He was demanding to speak with the human research team. Dr. Kim met with Veltar in the facilities conference room. The alien captain looked exactly the same as 6 months ago, his large black eyes showing no emotion. We have received disturbing reports, Veltar said without any greeting. You are attempting to salvage the cursed technology. We're studying it, Dr. Kim replied carefully. Learning from it. This is inadvisable. The technology failed for fundamental reasons. Your primitive understanding cannot correct flaws that defeated Vorthak engineering. Dr. Kim felt a spark of anger. What if we found ways to make it work? Veltar's expression didn't change. Impossible. The vessel was examined by our best technicians. Every system was evaluated according to proper standards. All were found wanting. Your standards might not be the only way to judge technology, Dr. Kim suggested. There is only one correct way, Veltar replied firmly. Vorthak way. We have achieved perfection in our designs. Deviation from perfection is corruption. After Veltar left, Dr. Kim called her team together. We need to be careful, she warned. The Vorthak don't want us succeeding with their abandoned technology. It challenges their whole way of thinking. Ji-hoon was working late that night when Arya sent a message through Yoon's communication system. The AI had been listening to everything, learning about human approaches to problem solving. Arya says the Vorthak have always been this way, Yoon translated. They build things to exact specifications and expect them to work perfectly forever. When something breaks, they see it as a fundamental flaw rather than a chance to learn. What does Arya think about our approach? Dr. Kim asked. Yoon smiled as she read the AI's response. It says humans are the first species it's encountered that sees potential in failure. Arya wants to help us prove that broken things can become better than they ever were before. As the team continued their work, they began to understand that they weren't just repairing an alien ship. They were challenging an entire philosophy about technology, failure, and the possibility of improvement. The Vorthak had given up on their vessel, but humanity was just getting started. 18 months after the crash, the alien ship looked completely different. What had once been a broken wreck was now housed in the most advanced shipyard facility on Earth. Captain Meekyung Seo walked through the construction bay, amazed at how much the vessel had changed. "It's beautiful," she said to Dr. Kim, who was reviewing the latest modifications on her tablet. The ship's hull now gleamed with a mixture of alien metal and human materials. New sections had been added, and damaged areas were reinforced with experimental armor that could repair itself. The vessel was bigger than before, but somehow looked more graceful. "Arya helped us redesign everything," Dr. Kim explained. "The AI understood the ship's original systems better than anyone, but it also embraced our human improvements." Ji-hoon Choi emerged from the engine compartment, his face covered in grease but smiling widely. "The hybrid drive is ready for testing," he announced. "We've integrated 3 fusion reactors with the quantum core. The power output is incredible." Captain Seo had been chosen to command the rebuilt ship after extensive testing and training. She was one of Korea's best pilots, with experience flying everything from fighter jets to experimental spacecraft. But nothing had prepared her for this. "What are we calling her?" Seo asked. "Bulguksa," replied Dr. Kim. "After the ancient Korean temple. Something that represents the harmony between different traditions." Engineer Dong-Woo Lee was working on the ship's new weapon systems with Dr. Woo Jin Nam, the weapons specialist who had joined the project 6 months earlier. "The particle beam arrays are calibrated," Lee reported. "We're using human energy, weapons integrated with Vorthak focusing crystals." Dr. Nam wiped sweat from his forehead. "The targeting system is unlike anything we've ever built. Arya can calculate firing solutions faster than any human computer, but it also understands tactics in ways that surprise us." The modifications had taken over a year to complete. The human team didn't just repair the ship, they completely reimagined it. Every system was a fusion of human engineering and alien technology, creating something entirely new. The hull was reinforced with metamaterials that could change their properties based on what was needed. Under normal conditions, the armor was lightweight and flexible. In combat, it could become harder than diamond. If damaged, it could slowly repair itself using nanotechnology. The engines were the most impressive achievement. Ji-hoon had found a way to use human fusion reactors to power the quantum drive through the fractures that the Vorthak had seen as fatal damage. The result was a propulsion system that could push the ship faster and more efficiently than anything the aliens had ever built. Arya had been given expanded processing power using human quantum computers. The AI could now think and adapt in real time, learning from every situation and developing new solutions constantly. Programmer Hyejin Yoon had become Arya's closest human friend, spending hours each day in conversation with the artificial intelligence. "Arya is excited about the test flight," Yoon reported during a team meeting. "The AI has been running simulations for weeks, imagining what it will be like to fly again." Colonel Jang looked concerned. "Are we sure it's safe? We're dealing with technology we don't fully understand." "That's what makes it work," Ji-hoon replied. "The Vorthak thought they understood everything perfectly, but understanding isn't about control. It's about cooperation. We're working with the technology, not forcing it to obey us." The first test flight was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. Captain Seo climbed into the command chair, which had been redesigned to interface directly with both human controls and Arya's systems. The bridge was a mixture of familiar human displays and alien interfaces that responded to thought as much as touch. "All systems show green," reported Lee from the engineering station. "Arya is online and ready," added Yoon from her communications post. Captain Seo placed her hands on the control interface. Immediately, she felt connected to the ship in a way she had never experienced before. Arya's presence was warm and welcoming, like flying with a trusted co-pilot. "Beginning engine startup sequence," Seo announced. The fusion reactors came online first, providing steady power throughout the ship. Then the quantum drive activated, and reality seemed to bend around them. The ship lifted off smoothly, rising from the underground facility into the open sky. "This is incredible," Seo breathed as they climbed toward space. The ship responded to her thoughts as much as her actions. When she wanted to turn left, the vessel began turning before she even moved the controls. "Arya is anticipating your commands," Yoon explained. "The AI is learning your flying style and adapting to work with you." They spent the morning testing basic maneuvers. The ship could accelerate, turn, and stop with precision that seemed impossible. During one test, Seo asked Arya to perform an emergency evasion pattern. The ship twisted through space in ways that would have torn apart any normal. Vessel. The structural integrity is holding perfectly, Lee reported, amazement in his voice. The metamaterial hull is adapting to the stress in real time. Over the following weeks, they conducted more advanced tests. The Bulguksa could outrun missiles, dodge laser fire, and perform maneuvers that defied conventional physics. The hybrid drive allowed impossible accelerations without harming the crew, but the ship's capabilities were tested sooner than expected. Ambassador Kyung-Soo-Oh brought disturbing news from deep space. The Vorthak Empire was under attack by a species called the Keth-Mori Horde. These warriors had been conquering Vorthak colonies with frightening efficiency. The Vorthak are losing badly, Ambassador Oh reported. Their rigid tactics and standardized technology can't adapt to the Horde's unpredictable warfare. News of the human success with the abandoned ship had reached Vorthak space. Captain Veltar returned to Earth, but this time he wasn't alone. A small fleet of Vorthak warships accompanied him. "We require your technological improvements," Veltar announced without any greeting. "The Keth-Mori Horde threatens the stability of this sector. Your modifications to our failed vessel could provide advantage in combat." Dr. Kim stood her ground in the meeting room. "You called our work impossible. You said the ship was cursed." "Circumstances have changed," Veltar replied coldly. "We acknowledge that your primitive methods have achieved unexpected results. We demand access to these improvements." "Demand?" Colonel Jang stepped forward. "You abandoned the ship. We claimed it legally. Our improvements are our property." Veltar's large black eyes showed the first emotion any human had seen from him: anger. "You cannot improve upon Vorthak technology. What you have achieved is an accident, a fluke. Only true Vorthak engineers can properly utilize such advances." "Captain." Seo had been listening quietly, but now she spoke up. "Would you like a demonstration of what our accident can do?" The challenge was accepted. Veltar was confident that his advanced warships could easily defeat one modified vessel, regardless of human improvements. The Vorthak fleet consisted of 5 modern cruisers, each one representing the pinnacle of their military technology. The demonstration was scheduled for the following day in space near Earth's moon. Captain Seo took the Bulguksa out to meet the Vorthak fleet, with Dr. Kim and the engineering team monitoring from the surface. "Remember," Dr. Kim said over the communication link, "this isn't about proving we're better than them. It's about showing that different approaches can work together." But as the Bulguksa approached the Vorthak formation, it became clear that Veltar had no intention of a peaceful demonstration. The alien ships powered up their weapons and moved into attack formation. "They're targeting us," Yoon reported from her station. Captain Seo felt Aria's presence in her mind, calm and ready. "Then let's show them what human creativity and alien technology can accomplish together." The battle that followed would change everything both species thought they knew about space combat. The Vorthak ships opened fire without warning. 5 cruisers launched their weapons at the Bulguksa, expecting to destroy the human vessel in seconds. But Captain Seo was ready. "Aria, evasive maneuvers," she called out, though the AI was already moving before she finished speaking. The Bulguksa twisted through space like a dancer, dodging energy beams that should have been impossible to avoid. The ship's hybrid drive allowed it to change direction instantly, something no Vorthak vessel could match. "Their tactical computers can't predict our movements," reported Yoon from her station. "Aria is using flight patterns that don't exist in their databases." The first Vorthak cruiser fired again, this time trying to lead the target. But the Bulguksa simply wasn't where the alien computer predicted it would be. Instead, Captain Seo brought her ship around behind the cruiser and fired her particle beam weapons. The human-designed energy weapons, focused through Vorthak crystals, punched through the alien ship's shields like they weren't there. The cruiser's engines exploded, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. "1 down, 4 to go," Seo said grimly. Captain Veltar's voice crackled over the communication system. "Impossible. Our shields are rated for maximum energy output. Your weapons cannot penetrate them. Your shields are designed to stop Vorthak." "Weapons," Engineer Lee replied from the Bulguksa's engineering section. "Our weapons work differently." The battle continued for 20 minutes. The remaining Vorthak ships tried every tactic in their database, but nothing worked against the hybrid vessel. The Bulguksa could outrun their missiles, dodge their energy beams, and strike back with devastating effectiveness. When the last Vorthak cruiser lost power and drifted helplessly, Captain Veltar finally understood what the humans had accomplished. They hadn't just repaired his abandoned ship. They had created something entirely new. "We yield," Veltar transmitted, his voice carrying a mixture of shock and reluctant respect. "Your vessel has capabilities that exceed our understanding." But the victory celebration was cut short by urgent messages from deep space. The Kethmori horde had detected the battle and was sending scouts to investigate. War leader Thekvar, commander of the horde's advance fleet, was intrigued by reports of a ship that could defeat 5 Vorthak cruisers. Admiral Insu Quan arrived at the lunar battleground 3 hours later with a small Earth defense fleet. He was an older man with gray hair and steady eyes, someone who had spent his career preparing for the day humans might face alien enemies. "Captain Seo, your performance was remarkable," Admiral Quan said as his flagship docked with the Bulguksa. "But we may have bigger problems now." Dr. Yunji Baek, the fleet's combat systems analyst, brought disturbing intelligence. "The Kethmori aren't like the Vorthak," she explained during the briefing. "They don't follow rigid patterns, they adapt quickly and fight with unpredictable tactics." The Horde's scout ships arrived 2 days later. Unlike the sleek Vorthak vessels, the Kethmori ships looked like they were built from salvaged parts and scrap metal. But their weapons were deadly, and their crews fought with savage determination. War leader Thekvar challenged the humans directly over open communication channels. "I am impressed by your victory over the Vorthak weaklings," his voice rumbled with amusement. "But they are prey animals. We are predators. Come and face real warriors." The first skirmish took place near Mars. A squadron of Kethmori raiders attacked human mining stations, testing Earth's defenses. Captain Seo took the Bulguksa to intercept them, expecting another easy victory. She was wrong. The Kethmori ships fought nothing like the Vorthak. Where the aliens had been predictable and methodical, the Horde was chaotic and creative. They used ramming attacks, suicide runs, and tactics that seemed insane but somehow worked. "They're not following any tactical doctrine," Yoon reported, as Arya struggled to predict the enemy movements. "Each ship is fighting independently, making decisions based on instinct rather than programming. The Bulguksa's superior technology still gave it an advantage, but the battle was much harder than the fight against the Vorthak. The Kethmori ships were willing to sacrifice themselves to damage the human vessel, and several times Captain Seo barely escaped destruction. "We can't fight them the same way we fought the Vorthak," she realized. "They're too unpredictable." Arya began analyzing the Kethmori fighting style, learning from each engagement. The AI discovered that while the Horde fought with chaos and instinct, they also had patterns, just not the kind that showed up in normal tactical analysis. "They're like a pack of wolves," Arya explained through Yoon's communication system. "Each individual is unpredictable, but the pack has an overall hunting strategy." Over the following weeks, more Kethmori ships arrived in Earth's solar system. They began attacking outer colonies and mining stations, forcing Admiral Quan to spread his limited forces thin trying to protect everything. "We need more ships," the Admiral told Dr. Kim during an emergency meeting. "The Bulguksa is incredible, but it can't be everywhere at once." "Building new ships would take years," Dr. Kim replied. "But we might have another option." Her idea was radical. Instead of building new vessels from scratch, they could modify captured and damaged ships using the same principles that had transformed the original Bulguksa. The battle wreckage from various skirmishes could become the foundation for a new fleet. "The Vorthak abandoned their damaged ships after every battle," Engineer Lee explained, "and we've captured several Kethmori vessels. All of that worthless wreckage could be raw material for our hybrid fleet." The conversion project began immediately. Human engineering teams worked around the clock to transform battle damage into opportunity. Each captured vessel was redesigned, according to its unique characteristics and the preferences of its assigned crew. Ji-hoon led teams that installed hybrid drive systems in everything from Vorthak cruisers to Kethmori destroyers. Arya helped coordinate the conversions, learning to work with different alien technologies and adapt them for human use. Within 3 months, Earth had a fleet of 12 hybrid warships. Each one was different, modified according to its original design and the creativity of its human crew. Some were fast scouts, others were heavy battleships, and a few were specialized for unusual tactics. Captain Seo commanded the fleet from the Bulguksa, now designated as the flagship. The other ships were crewed by the best pilots and engineers Earth could provide, all trained to work with AI partners based on Arya's design. The Keth Mori were not impressed by the growing human fleet. War leader Thekvar brought his main battle group into the solar system, determined to crush Earth's defenses before they could become a real threat. "You have shown courage," Thekvar transmitted to the human fleet. "But courage without strength is meaningless. We will test your mettle against the full might of the Horde." The final battle was set to take place near Jupiter, where the Keth Mori had gathered their forces. Nearly 50 enemy ships faced the 12 human vessels, odds that should have meant certain defeat for Earth's defenders. But Admiral Kwan had learned from every previous engagement. The human fleet didn't fight like the Vorthak, with rigid formations and predictable tactics. They also didn't fight like the Keth Mori, with pure chaos and instinct. Instead, they fought like humans, with creativity, adaptability, and the ability to turn weaknesses into strengths. Each ship in the fleet operated differently, using its unique modifications and the personality of its crew to maximum advantage. The battle began at dawn on Jupiter's horizon, as the human hybrid fleet prepared to face the greatest test of their revolutionary approach to warfare. The space around Jupiter became a battlefield unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 50 Keth Mori warships faced 12 human hybrid vessels in what would decide the fate of Earth and possibly the entire sector. Fleet Admiral Bo-Ram Han watched from the bridge of her command ship as the enemy fleet approached. She had taken overall command of Earth's defenses, while Captain Seo led the Bulguksa at the front of the formation. "All ships report ready," announced Chief Engineer Hyun-Woo Kang from his mobile command center. Over the past months, he had overseen the conversion of every captured vessel into something unique and deadly. The Keth Mori attacked in their usual chaotic style, but this time the humans were ready. Instead of fighting as a single coordinated unit like the Vorthak would, or as individual raiders like the Horde typically did, the human fleet fought as 12 separate but connected entities. Each ship had its own personality, its own strengths, and its own way of fighting. The converted Vorthak cruiser Sejong used precise long-range attacks. The rebuilt Keth Mori destroyer Hanbok fought with wild, unpredictable maneuvers. The hybrid scout ship Arirang darted between enemies, gathering intelligence and striking. "Weak points. They don't know how to counter us," reported Captain Seo from the Bulguksa. "Every time they adapt to one ship's tactics, another ship does something completely different." Arya coordinated the battle through quantum communication, links with all the other ship AIs. But instead of controlling everything centrally, the artificial intelligences worked together while maintaining their individual approaches to combat. War leader Thekvar commanded the Horde fleet from his massive flagship. He had never faced an enemy that fought with such organized chaos. Every tactical doctrine he knew was useless against opponents who seemed to make up new strategies in the middle of battle. "Focus fire on their flagship," Thekvar ordered, targeting the Bulguksa with half his fleet. But when 25 enemy ships concentrated their weapons on Captain Seo's vessel, the other 11 human ships immediately changed their tactics. They formed a protective screen around the Bulguksa, each one using different methods to intercept incoming fire. The Sejong used its precise weapons to shoot down missiles. The Hanbok rammed enemy ships that got too close. The scout ships created interference patterns that disrupted enemy targeting systems. The hybrid battleship Taeguk simply absorbed damage with its adaptive armor while returning devastating fire. The battle raged for 3 hours. Ships on both sides were damaged or destroyed, but slowly the human fleet gained the upper hand. Their ability to adapt and improvise proved superior to the Horde's reliance on individual warrior instincts. Finally, war leader Thekvar made a decision that surprised everyone. Instead of fighting to the death like most Keth Mori commanders, he challenged Captain Seo to single combat between their flagships. "You have proven worthy opponents," Thekvar transmitted across all frequencies. "But I would face your greatest warrior in honorable battle. Ship against ship, commander against commander." Admiral Han was about to refuse, but Captain Seo accepted immediately. "Arya and I will face him," she announced. The two flagships separated from their fleets and began a deadly dance around Jupiter's largest moon. Thekvar's ship was larger and more heavily armed, but it was built using traditional Keth Mori design principles. The Bulguksa was smaller, but represented the fusion of 3 different technological approaches. The duel showcased everything humans had learned about turning limitations into advantages. When Thekvar's ship tried to ram the Bulguksa, Captain Seo used the hybrid drive to dodge at the last second and strike the enemy's weak points. When the Horde leader attempted to overwhelm her with firepower, Arya calculated impossible evasion patterns that turned the Kethmori weapons against each other. "Your ship moves like it's alive," Thekvar said during a brief pause in the fighting. "How do you achieve such coordination between machine and pilot?" "We work together instead of one commanding the other," Captain Seo replied. "Arya isn't just my computer. It's my partner." The concept was alien to Thekvar, who viewed his ship as a tool to be mastered. But as the duel continued, he began to understand the difference between human and Kethmori approaches to warfare. The final exchange came when both ships, damaged and running low on power, faced each other across the void. Thekvar prepared for a final ramming attack, intending to destroy both vessels in a glorious death. But Captain Seo had a different idea. "Arya, can you disable his engines without destroying his ship?" "Yes, but it will require precise timing and cooperation between us," the AI replied. As Thekvar's flagship charged toward them, Captain Seo and Arya worked together with perfect coordination. The Bulguksa slipped aside at the last possible moment and fired a carefully targeted burst that disabled the enemy's engines without causing fatal damage. Thekvar's ship drifted helplessly, but its commander was still alive. For the first time in Kethmori history, a war leader had been defeated but allowed to survive. "Why did you not destroy me?" Thekvar asked, genuine confusion in his voice. "Because dead enemies can't learn from their mistakes," Captain Seo replied, "and we might need allies against whatever threats come next." The victory over the Kethmori Horde changed everything in this sector of the galaxy. News spread quickly that humans had defeated both the rigid Vorthak Empire and the chaotic Kethmori using principles that neither alien species understood. Diplomat Ja Young Lim began negotiations with moderate Vorthak leaders who wanted to understand human technology. Sub-Commander Jelnara, a progressive Vorthak who had questioned the old ways, became the first alien to formally request partnership with Earth. "Your species has achieved something we thought impossible," Jelnara admitted during trade discussions. "You have made our abandoned technology work better than it ever did for us." The Kethmori response was different but equally significant. Thekvar, impressed by human honor in victory, declared that Earth had earned the Horde's respect. Several Kethmori clans requested permission to study human tactical innovations. Chief Engineer Kong established a new shipyard in the asteroid belt, where teams of human, Vorthak, and Kethmori engineers worked together to build the next generation of hybrid vessels. These ships incorporated lessons learned from every species they had encountered. The first purpose-built human Starship, designed from the ground up using hybrid principles, was launched 2 years after the Jupiter battle. The new Soul combined human creativity, Vorthak precision, and Kethmori adaptability into something entirely unprecedented. Admiral Seo, promoted after her victory over Thekvar, stood on the bridge of the new Soul as it prepared for humanity's first deep space exploration mission. The ship was more than just a vessel. It was proof that different approaches to technology could create something greater than any single species could achieve alone. "Arya, are you ready to see what's out there beyond known space?" she asked, her AI partner. "I have been ready since the day you first spoke to me in that underground facility," Arya replied. "But I am curious about one thing." "What's that?" "The Vorthak said our original ship was cursed because it failed. The Kethmori respect us because we fought with honor. But what do humans call a ship that was once considered worthless, but became the foundation for a new age of space exploration?" Admiral Seo smiled as she looked out at the stars waiting to be explored. "We call it the beginning." The new Soul activated its hybrid drive and jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying humanity toward whatever wonders and challenges awaited among the stars. Behind them, Earth's hybrid fleet continued to grow, each ship a testament to the human ability to see potential where others saw only failure. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would the definition of what made technology truly valuable.